Hello and welcome to my channel. So today we will be discussing about MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol. So lately MCP has been in a lot of hype and everyone seems to be using MCP in order to connect their LLMs with the remote services or to have different integrations, predefined integrations which have been built by the different tools. Okay, so we are going to understand in this video what is MCP and what is the hype about. Okay, so MCP, as we understand, connects the clients, servers, and the LLMs together. The MCP is built on a architecture, okay, so that enables the communication between the LLMs and the integrations. And then MCP, as we see in the code diagram here, has a client server architecture. So we have the MCP host. So MCP host is basically like the Claude IDE or the Visual VS Code or the Cursor IDE. So they are the MCP host that initiate the connection. Then we have the MCP clients. Now the MCP clients, they reside on the host, and then they are having a 1:1 connection with the MCP server. Now the MCP servers are also on your computer, but they are the interface through which you will connect to the remote services. So the MCP servers, they expose resources, then they can expose tools, and also they have standardized prompts which allows you to have a standardized interface. And as far as the communication is concerned, we have two transport communications ideas. Like we have the local, where we mainly use something called as a standard interface. Okay, standard input output interface, also called as the STDIO. And the MCP server can also access the remote services. Okay, so we can have services which are exposed by, say for instance, Perplexity. So these are predefined integrations which we can use directly in our LLMs. So Perplexity APIs can be accessed through the MCP servers, and this is how we will be able to access and enable the LLMs to have a context of data which is hosted on remote service or even the local service. Local service could be the file systems, or it could be the local databases like MySQL, or it could be a text file on the file system. So now let's discuss about the MCP protocols fundamentals. So as you see here, the MCP protocols has three fundamental concepts which we have to understand. So we have basically the resources. Now the resources basically expose the data and the content to the LLMs. Okay, so the resources are mainly the core primitive that allows our servers to expose the data for the LLMs, and these content can be then read by the client. So basically, if you have so you have the MCP clients, so the MCP clients can read these resources, okay, and then they can provide it to the LLMs, and then the LLMs can use this as the context for processing. So this is how the resources are used by the MCP client. The second one is basically the tools. So tools enable basically it enables the LLMs to perform the action through the servers. So they do this by using discovery. Okay, so there is a concept called dynamic discovery, where we don't have to provide what kind of services or what kind of actions or what kind of tools are the MCP server is exposing. So the tools list is basically the endpoint which the clients can call in order to get the complete list of tools which are exposed by these MCP servers. Okay, and then we have something called as invocation. Now in invocation we have the tools. So the tools are called by the LLMs using the tools called endpoint. Okay, so the servers will perform the requested operation when this specific endpoint is called from the LLM, and then they will provide the result back to the client. So this is how the tools operate. Then there is also a concept called prompts. Now the prompts will basically enable the servers to define reusable prompt templates and workflows that clients can easily surface to users and LLMs. Okay, so this is how the standardized interface protocol is defined, so that we have standardized prompts, and using those standardized prompts the client and the server can interact with each other. Okay, and the final point which is important to understand is basically about the transport. So MCP uses the JSON RPC 2.0 as its format, and this transport layer is mainly responsible for converting the MCP protocol messages into the JSON RPC format for transmission, and also converting the JSON RPC messages back to the MCP protocol messages. And there are basically three types of JSON RPC messages used, which we will see in the slides in the future. Okay, and then the built-in transport types are standard input and standard input and output. And then there is something called as the server sent events, or SSE. So standard input output mainly is used where you have local integrations and command line tools, so basically for services which are exposed on your local system. And then SSE is for remote services. So if MCP is communicating with, say, for instance, with, say, a perplexity API, then it will use the server sent events transport protocol. Okay, so this is an overview, a short overview of how the MCP service is defined. So now let's look at the introduction of the MCP, where you have the official user guide and the documentation. So this is the site called modelcontextprotocol.io, where you can find all the information related to MCP. And here you have the general architecture, which we have already gone through and understood about the different elements in the MCP protocol. And then this site also provides you the different quick starts for the server developers, client developers, and the cloud desktop users. So we will be going through a quick example and an implementation of some of the MCP servers which are pre-built. So we will be going through them in the next video. And one more site which we should see in order to make sense of MCP and its core is basically the GitHub repository for MCP. So if you go to the model context protocol, so this is the official uh, GitHub repository for MCP. And here you have the different SDKs which are available. So we have the Python SDK, TypeScript, Java, Kotlin, C Sharp. So there is a whole lot of SDKs in different languages which are available. And then if you come down, we have something called the servers and also the Python SDK, which we are interested. And then we have a visual testing tool for MCP servers called MCP Inspector. So this is also a tool, a demo, which I will be providing in the next videos. So just to end, we will just go to the servers list, and here we can find a whole lot of reference servers which are provided for different tools and databases. So as you see here, we can see Brave Search. So you can use the Brave Search API in order to basically use an MCP client to communicate and search the internet. And then you have the file system MCP server for secure file operations on your local host. And then we also have MCP servers for GitHub, GitLab. Then we have for Google Drive, Google Maps, Postgre, and then Redis, and also the SQLite. So as you see, we have a whole lot of servers which are available. So all these MCP server integrations can be done very quickly, and we will be able to provide the LLMs with the context. And MCP is here to really revolutionize the overall agentic workflow, by which LLMs will be able to quickly aggregate the data from remote sources, and also to trigger some actions. So it is going to change the game in the AI world. Okay, So I think that's it for this video, and we will be coming back with some more MCP videos, mainly on the implementation front, where I will show you how to basically integrate your MCP integrations, basically the MCP servers, with your VS Code or Cursor or even the Cloud desktop, and see how all these connect with each other. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned. So like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.